Hello everyone. So I'm finally back at Everdeen after basically 6 weeks away, and I am so happy to be back. I had a crazy winter season doing shows and circuses all over the place, but now I'm finally back to where I can get to work and get some projects done here at the house. And it just feels so good. It feels so good. Yay. Also, you might be wondering why I'm standing in the dark, and that's because I tried filming this with the light on and it made me look like I was glowing and my head was on fire. So I thought that was a little alarming and I would be better off standing in the dark. So here we are. Anyway, what are we doing today? I'm going to dive in with the last bedroom on the first floor that we have not touched. Well, we have touched it. We've touched it a lot, but it's not finished. It's still in the beginning of its renovation journey, and so I think that is the place to jump in and get started. This bedroom used to be kind of a railroad situation where you had to go into that bedroom to access the smallest bedroom on that floor. And that obviously doesn't work when eventually I'm going to be teaching workshops here. We're going to have students, and each student needs their own entrance to their own bedroom. So we had to build a new wall to section this bedroom off. And so that needs some finishing up, some finishing touches. And then also there is the dreaded textured concrete, which is everywhere in this whole house. And it's on two walls of that bedroom. So I am going to be covering that up, smoothing it out, and then doing either paint or a wallpaper, probably a wallpaper on the other two walls, and well, all four walls. If I won't just do wallpaper on two walls. I'm not a psychopath, although that could be cute. Anyway, that's what I'm going to dive into. These are all jobs that I've done before in some room or other, so I think hopefully this should go pretty smoothly, and we'll see how far I get today. So that is the plan, and let's just go downstairs and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We can dive right in. Okay, here we are at the scene of the crime, and it is messy. So I guess the first thing I'm going to be doing is removing the mess. Step 2, we got to lose the textured concrete. Hate it, must go. It's all along this wall. It's over here on the corner by the clock. And then there's a place where I did a little bit already a couple months ago just to kind of test out how it was going to get covered. So I guess that's progress. Step 3, we've got to cover the joints in the drywall. I do need to run to the hardware store to get some materials for that. So that's going to be a later step in the process. And step 4, we've got to finish this new wall. This is the wall that we've built. So you'll see if I walk over here and open the door, it comes out into the hallway. And yeah, we've just got to finish things. This is obviously just construction in progress. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to finish on this side of the wall before Laurent finishes installing the electricity on the back, all the cables and the plugs and the switches and whatnot. But hopefully there's some things I can at least get started on. Okay, good news, bad news. Good news is that I have taped off the window. I have removed all of the plastic wire casings, and we are ready to start puttying over the textured concrete. Bad news is, of course, it is 4:30 in the afternoon, so it's starting to get dark. But I'm just gonna plow on with what light I have, because it would be ridiculous to stop at 4:30 just because the light's not optimal. So that's what we're doing. So here's the section I've already done. I've puttied it, but I have not sanded it yet. And I'm using this enduit lissage Enduit is basically just putty in French. There's supposed to be enduit à rouleau that you use with a roller, enduit for rolling. But I tried using that and I found it hard to work with because it was so thin. So I found that just the normal putty, which is the normal consistency, has worked very well. So I'm going to continue with that. I'm going to finish all this part that I haven't gotten to yet. So after I finish that wall that I've already started on, I'm going to move on to this wall, which is the other textured concrete wall. But I am going to have to do a run to the hardware store before we start on this one because there's a big crack. You can see on here, there's just a big crack. It's just the concrete cracking. It's not a structural problem in any way. So what I'm going to need to do is get a chisel and then take out all of the loose concrete around the edges of the crack. So there's only sturdy concrete left on the wall. And then I'm going to use the same putty that I'm going to use for the joints in the drywall, the putty that's meant to go under the tape. By the way, I know I use terms that are totally incorrect when I'm talking about the materials that I use sometimes, and that is because I don't know what they're called in English. I know what they're called in French. I have no idea what they're called in English. So like the enduit lissage, enduit rouleau, what is that in English? No idea. So if you guys know, please write it in the comments. But for now, I'm just going to say that we're going to use the same extra sticky, I don't know, the same type of putty that you put underneath the paper tape when you're doing the joints in the drywall. We're going to put here. We're going to put some tape over the top to hold it all nice and steady. And then finally, I'm going to cover it in the same putty that I'm using on that wall, the enduit lissage, to smooth everything out. Probably I'm going to finish over the top with a coat of wallpaper. I do want a solid color on this wall, so we might use the paintable wallpaper we've been using. But that's a fuzzy plan in the future. For now, I know that the first step is to take care of the crack. Guys, a mystery has arisen. A very surprising mystery because I've just opened this bucket, which to the best of my knowledge was full of enduit lissage. And it's actually full of really dirty water. Why? I have literally no idea. What has happened? Did I fill this with water and then just entirely forget? What is the water from? Has some kind of weird science thing happened where all the water from the enduit has like come out of it and it's now in like a solid form and a water form? Like, how has this happened? What is going on? I guess I'm gonna open the window and pour the water out and just see if there's like resin. No, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a stick. I'm gonna stick a stick in it first and see if there seems to be like residue of enduit at the bottom. Yeah, let's get a stick. Okay, fortunately I have a bucket of paint stirring sticks, which are ideal for this. And we're sticking it in. Yeah, there's nothing in there. Do you know what I think I did? I think I maybe solved the mystery. Okay, I have no memory of this, but my memory is terrible, so like that's not entirely unexpected. But I think what I did is I think that I finished this bucket of enduit, and then there was just like, you know, the remnants left in it, and I didn't want them to dry because I wanted to clean out the bucket and have a nice bucket for free. And so I filled it with water to keep it wet so I could clean out the bucket later and not have to chip out all the enduit, which means that we have only this bucket. Is there anything? There's like a tiny bit in the bottom. That's not ideal. I guess I'll go down the garage and see if we have any more, but I don't think we do. I think really these are the only two buckets. So I must have finished them the last time I was working on this floor and just totally forgotten about it. But I still can do the prep for the crack. I can chip off all the extra concrete. I found another bucket in the garage. We're back on schedule. And if you hear a whirring noise behind me, it's my little heat fan that I've turned on because I can't turn it off to make videos. So you're just gonna hear it. I need the heat fan. Anyway, last night it got dark enough that I kind of just finished up the wall that I was doing and went to bed. It gets really dark in here at night. This one lamp here is not doing anything. So I am going to start again this morning with working on the crack that's on this wall over here, and then finishing up all the putty. However, there is a wrinkle in my plans, and I'll show you what that is. The wrinkle is that if I come right over here, this is the part I did last night, and it's still wet. It's still wet to the point where it's like coming off on my fingers. It has been 12 hours since I put it on, so I'm not sure why it's not drying. Maybe because it was too cold in this room. So I guess I'm just gonna start working on the other wall over here, that situation, and then hope that having the heat fan on and having the warmth in this room will help this dry. While I'm working on cracks, I'm gonna jump in here and get this bad boy, which Laurent, the master craftsman, says that I can just fill up with acrylic sealant and it should be fine. So that's what we're gonna do. Because I mean, obviously, like I'm also going to have wallpaper and stuff over this. So yeah, let's just glue it. For some reason, I just lost the plot at this point and filmed these clips in vertical instead of horizontal. I have no idea why. Okay, small change of plan, because I've just talked to Laurent on the phone and showed him this crack now that I've opened it up a little bit. And he thinks that if we use a wallpaper on this wall, we don't actually need to putty the crack. We can just glue it the way I've just glued the corner. And that sounds like a good plan to me, and more importantly, a simpler plan. So that is what I'm gonna do, which means that the finished product of this wall is gonna need to be a wallpaper. However, I think that was kind of already the case, because although I think that I'm getting pretty good with my puttying skills, it did take me like 4 coats of putty in the dining room to get the wall smooth enough to look good with the paint on it. And I really don't feel like doing 4 coats in here. And also that's just so much more expensive having to buy all the putty. So I think what we're gonna do anyway is just do 1 coat of putty so it's relatively smooth, and then put either a normal wallpaper or a paintable wallpaper on the top. And that'll be good for holding the cracky wall together. So yeah, that's the plan. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this. And then while that glue is drying, I'm gonna move over to the new part of the wall, the drywall part, and start doing the seams in the drywall. Guys, I've officially found a job that I hate more than painting because I hate this. I hate it. I I just, like, at one point I did call her on and just start crying because I, first off, am bad at doing this joint in the drywall. And secondly, I just hate it from the depths of my soul. I hate it so much. So fortunately, I've completed like the first 2 coats. You're supposed to do 3 coats. I've done 2 coats. It's on the wall. It is what it is. You're supposed to let it dry overnight. I'm not sure if I'm gonna let it, it's been dry, it's been on the wall for a couple of hours, but I just had to like step away and breathe out my hatred of it. So I'm not sure if I'll try to like wait and then do it like late tonight or do the 3rd coat tomorrow morning, but oh, it was so awful. I hated it so much. So much. Anyway, that's done for the moment. So I'm gonna putty that last wall because the glue that I put in the crack is now dry. So I can just finish up with the actual putty section of this room. Well, it's 6 p.m. It's gotten pretty dark outside, which means it's getting pretty dark in here. But I have got this entire wall puttied. There's even more putty on the wall than there is on my hands, somehow. I feel like I've got a whole wall's worth of putty on my hands as well. And then the only thing I've got left to do tomorrow morning before we can start doing some wallpapering is to do the last coat on the joints in the drywall and then to sand down this putty just a little bit, and then we can start looking at some wallpaper. So that is very exciting, but I'm gonna call it a night for now and do a few little businessy, email-y, computer-y things I have to do and get back to it tomorrow morning. Good morning, welcome to day 3 of the wall fiesta. And this morning, there are 2 small complications. I've just walked downstairs and been greeted with a couple of surprises. This is the most serious complication because I just don't know what to do about it. Because it looks like we have a leak coming in the window. I knew obviously before I did the puttying there was a discolored patch here, but I thought that it was old. I didn't realize that we had an active leak. So problem 1, we have a leak. Problem 2, obviously that part of the putty is not dry, and I'm not quite sure what to do about this. Complication number 2 is that right here on this band of tape, I did a pretty decent job of the other ones, like not a good job, but like a decent job. But this one is really not up to par. So I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the 3rd coat of putty on this one just to see if there's any hope of smoothing it out or if I'm gonna have to redo it. And then I'll do the other ones and just see how it goes, I guess. But before I can do a 3rd coat of putty, I need to sand all of them. So I'm gonna go get the sander. Let's get dusty. All right, the sander was way too aggressive, so we're just gonna do this by hand. fun science fact that is making my life really complicated right now. Did you know that humans can't actually feel wet? We can only feel temperature difference and texture difference. So like if you feel cold water, what you're actually feeling is cold and like extra slipperiness from the water and not actually wetness, which makes it really difficult when I'm trying to tell if this plaster is dry. But obviously like the texture of it is already super slippery, powdery, smooth because it's plaster. And it's cold because it's cold. So I'm really like, I think it's dry. It's been here overnight, but my brain tells me that it's wet. So what is the truth? Well, I've got my answer because this bit is definitely not dry. In fact, it is moving when I touch it. So the thing is that this has been drying for about 15 hours now. So I honestly, like, is it ever going to dry? Like, why is it not dry yet? The room is not wet. There's not like rain. I mean, there is a little rain coming in the window, but like, I don't know how it's going to dry if it's not dry at this point. And like, it's not even that thick. This is a very thin layer of putty. The putty on the walls does seem to be dry. The putty covering all the walls. It's just these drywall seams that just don't want to go. So I guess what I'm going to do is cover the last little bit of the cracks that I left uncovered with putty yesterday, which are dry. Thank goodness, something is. And then I'm going to just leave the window open in here and hope that like air coming in the window and air circulation will encourage things to dry. I have been advised that the best thing to do for the leak under the window is to do a nice seal under the window with this waterproof silicone. So that is what we're gonna do, and hopefully it will work. Oh, my hair is killing me. It's just, it does not want to stay in a ponytail at all. It's just all in my face. And I've totally just put silicone in it, haven't I? Anyway, I think that's about where we're gonna have to call it a day for this project today, because everything is drying, hopefully. And the good news is that I have to go to Paris tomorrow, so this is gonna have the whole weekend to dry. I'm in Paris like overnight one night for a show. So this has until Sunday night to dry. So hopefully things will be dry. And that means I have the rest of the day that I can't work on this. So I think I'm gonna switch over and work on a different project, which means that we're gonna leave this video here and you guys are gonna see the completion of this room in the next video. It'll be the part 2. So just before I go, I will say a big thank you for watching and for subscribing if you have done that. And if you have not, please do subscribe. It is very helpful and very much appreciated. And please do also click a big thumbs up on this video because that's also very helpful. And a big thank you to our patrons. Thank you so much, patrons. Thank you for supporting us at Everdeen. Thank you for being the lovely group of patrons that you are. And with that, I will see you guys next time where hopefully I will have some dry walls to start wallpapering and then put some color on. And I think once we get to that point, once I actually can get wallpaper and paint in this room, after that, everything's gonna go super quickly because I've had a peek at the floor underneath this carpet and it looks like I don't have to do anything to it. So hopefully if that's right, that means that all that's left is wallpaper, take up the carpet, which is fast and easy, paint, and furnish. So it's getting close, it's getting good. But yeah, everyone think dry thoughts, and I will see you guys next time.